Good evening, everyone. How are we all today? Right, just getting set up for this. As you can see, we're in that lovely fly-by-wire Christmas livery, looking very nice. Sat at the gate at London Heathrow, which looks beautiful. And we're going to test this new Simbrief integration, take it out for a full flight down to Nice. So good lengthy flight. We're not on VATSIM or anything like that, just in case anything goes wrong, really. Northern Coast, hello, thanks for joining. Oliver Plays, and OFX Gamers. Shout out to all of you. Not sure what time it is where you guys are. It is currently 17 minutes past midnight here in the UK. So as you can tell, we're on live weather, but we are most certainly not on live time, because wanted to keep everything in the daylight, just again in case anything goes wrong. Sweatel, good evening. Just watching the sim integration video. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? We're actually going to take it for a little test now. So let's hop in and see what happens. So the idea behind it is basically to make sure we're doing everything that we would do in a normal flight. We've obviously just got this pre-release build, courtesy of Fly-by-Wire. And I've lost my checklist. Where's that gone? Oh, there we go. Silver Knife, hi mate, thanks for joining us. Alright, so as I say, we're going to go through everything that we would do as per a real flight. The only difference here is we're not on VATSIM, and we're not going to use the air traffic control. Swaddle, you're in the UK as well, so night owl like myself. I thought we'd get this flight done just as a test flight, and I can also do some work while I'm in the office at the same time. So yeah, let's have a decent flight to the south of France. So engine masters are off, engine mode selector is normal, weather radar off, landing gear is down, both wiper selectors are off, and battery power, we can turn those on. Is this the next stable version? It will be part of the next stable version. It's obviously not released yet, as it's still in testing mode, which is what we're going to do this evening. So where were we? Let's get the APU fired up as well. Get that external power. Actually, now we've got the battery on. Let's contact ground and get some ground power.
Heathrow ground,
There we go.
Busim 112 tree, could you please send a ground power unit?
Busim 112 tree, ground power unit is on the road.
So we've got that external power now, and we'll also get the jetway connected too.
Heathrow ground, Busim 112 tree, could you please connect the jetway to the aircraft?
Busim 112 tree, the jetway is going to be connected.
Here comes the jetway, so we'll get the passengers on as well. Okay, so with that, we should do the APU fire test. There we go. All is good with that, and we can get the APU running. Should count to 3 between turning on the master switch and starting the APU. Give it 3 seconds. When available, we'll get the air conditioning power and the pack sorted. External power is as required. Cockpit lights, okay, let's get the nav version, the nav lights on. ECAM recall, make sure we've not missed anything, that's all good. Jer, hello, thanks for joining us. You're going to have to let me know how to pronounce that, mate. Where are we? Cockpit lights are on, ECAM recall done, and let's just carry on now through the flow. So crew oxygen supply is on, and we'll get the ADs aligned as well, and turn on the seatbelt signs, turn on the no smoking signs, and emergency exit signs to auto. Working our way up, external power is on, we can't get the bleed air just yet, we can turn the fuel pumps on. And with that, let's start getting some passengers on board, shall we? Cabin crew, yeah, we've completed the checks, so now you can open the doors and start getting the passengers on board.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so our passengers are boarding, and let's nip down then to the all-important bit and come down to the MCDU. Let me, what I will do for you guys, if any of you wants to download this particular flight plan, bear with me a second, and I will get it for you. I'll pop that in the chat so you can grab hold of that, and then we'll see if we can automatically load it in. Where are we? Bear with me, I didn't get a PDF version of the flight plan all ready for you. Just waiting for that to load. Here we go. What I can do as well is we'll pop this on the screen so you can see what's happening. Whilst I'm doing this, I'm going to get rid of the chat window on the stream so you can see everything that's being clicked. So there's the flight plan. If anyone wants to download that, you can do, and that's in the chat now for you to see. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the scratch pad, flight number in use, we'll get rid of that, clear the GPS primary, just nip to the options. So there we go, check the Simbrief options and username. So I need to enter my username for that, which is spell it correctly, that'd help. I'm putting in the code rather than the actual name. Easy Jet Sim Pilot. I wish I'd picked a shortest username for Simbrief now. EasyJet Sim Pilot. Enter that in. All is good. So now we can go to our init A page. So we'll pull the init request. Fingers crossed this all works. That looks good. Okay, so the cost index is right. The cruise temperature, the cruise flight level is right. The temperature at the moment isn't quite accurate with Simbrief, but it's good enough. Our alternate is in there as correct as well. So now let's check the flight plan. Oh, beautiful. So the flight plan is all there as well. Excellent. Remember though, we still need to put in our SIDS and stars. So we'll go through and do that. In order to do that as well, make sure the scratch pad is cleared before trying to press anything, otherwise it just assumes you're going to insert stuff. So we're going to be taking off from runway 09 left, and it's the Moderate 1 kilo departure. There we go, enter that. And we'll also enter our destination star as well. They should be done on the ground here just for fuel planning purposes. So it's the NISA 6. In fact, hang on one second. Arrival. It will be the ILS 4. Oh, it's got us down as the ILS 4 right, which is an offset localizer. So should we go with that, or should we go with the ILS 4 left? Let's go with the ILS 4 left. Just keep things nice and simple tonight. Pop in the star, which is the NISA 6 Sierra star via AMGEL. Insert that. Okay, so now that's all inserted onto the flight plan. Let's double check what our flight plan actually looks like. Just turn the brightness up on this display a little bit, so that looks good. And just scroll through this, make sure there's no obvious errors. Oh, that looked a bit weird, didn't it? However, actually, as I recall, that is accurate. That is the published star at Nice. It takes you right the way over from out over the sea and then back round again. So we might take a little bit of a shortcut, just because, as I said, we're not on VATSIM tonight. We're just testing the actual fly-by-wire systems. Ronald, Merry Christmas from Chicago. Thanks for joining. I bet it's strange to see me streaming at this time of day for you, isn't it? Alan, which dev mode? Today, update, or yesterday? This isn't a dev mode. This is a QA version, which is basically not for release yet. I have the privilege of testing the pre-release versions. So this one's not yet available, but hopefully will be soon. I can't tell you when though, because I'm not in charge of that. Okay, what we will do as well is need to get some weather. Okay, so we've got the flight plan sorted. Let's go to the ATSU page. Let's just get a weather request for departure and destination. So that message has been sent. And Nick, let's go. Oh, there's a few things to do yet, mate. And the passengers are still getting on board. Grab yourself a drink. So, performance, weight and balance. Now, let's check and have a look at this. So, let me check. Can you see the fuel? Now, let me just go down here so you can see that. Okay, so here are our fuel calculations for the flight. So, we need to check these are all accurate. So, our planned block fuel is accurate, 6114. Our taxi fuel is already input for us at 200 kilograms. And our trip fuel is estimated at 3387. So all of that looks good. Anthony, good evening from Niagara Falls. Good of you to join me, and I bet this is a much more civilized hour for you. Not for me, but hey, I thought we'd do a late night stream and test this this new system. Okay, so the performance, weight and balance is all there. So we've got the fuel sorted. Now what you didn't see in the video that I did upload earlier tonight was that we actually have the payload screen as well. So that is all loaded in the aircraft for us automatically. So the payload is there. Let me just scroll back up so you can see this. So there we go. So we've got a payload of 18096, so about 18 tons. It's already loaded that in for us. Look at that. So the forward baggage is loaded, the rear baggage is loaded. No more faffing around with the weight and distributions of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And look, we have a zero fuel weight, and we have a zero fuel weight center of gravity, which has been set to 30. Now that's just normal. 30 is a normal centre of gravity weight for it. Grabbing the peanut. I hope it's a big bag, Nick. We've also got number of passengers in there as well, 174. That's worked out based on using 104 kilograms, I think it is, per passenger. So that's their weight plus the baggage as well. But that's all there. Now what you can do is you can actually go in and change these figures if you want. In order to do that, you're just typing a new figure. Say we wanted to choose a payload of 1900, so 19 tons. You could pop it in here. I'm not going to do it because at the moment this is all working quite nicely. But you could pop that in there, and it should then automatically, if we just jump to this fuel page, automatically update that for you. So I'm just looking here. The zero fuel weight is in there. The zero fuel weight centre of gravity is set to 30. And I'm now just looking, and I'm going to need to get some confirmation, I think, here from the guys that have programmed it, because we've got our zero fuel weight as shown there. Fuel on board is 9508. However, our planned block fuel is 6114. So, which is correct? Let's have a look on here. Right, okay. Having said that, we've not actually done the fuel loading yet, so that may yet change. So, bear with me. Glass of red wine is full, so you're ready. Excellent. When will that reach the flight deck? Okay, so all of that looks good. If we press the load button, has that now changed any of our payload screen? Not yet, it hasn't, but I believe that the fuel weight, the gross weight of the aircraft, does change. So I'm told at the moment that it does affect the weight of the aircraft, but not yet using the weight screen from Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that's just an Azovo coding thing. Husky, hello! Again, must be a great time for you to catch a stream. It's not the middle of the night for you. Right, speaking about getting fueled up, let's go to our init B page. Alright, so in fact, let me just go back to that and try something. So if we go, oh, wrong one. Let me go back to the HSU page, and I want to go to performance, weight and balance. So there's our block fuel, so it should be 6114. So when we press the refuel load, does that change our fuel on board shown there in the upper ecam? Let's try that. So we've pressed it and it has changed it. Excellent. But again, if we go on the fuel page here, does that change? So the fuel actually has been changed, so that does make a difference. So we do need to go in here. It doesn't automatically do the fuel for you as soon as you load the Simbrief flight plan. You do have to go into the performance, weight and balance page to get that right. But that all looks good. Ronald, that's what I wanted to know about the weight of the fuel. Oh, fair enough. There you go then. Mark, good morning from Singapore. What time is it over there, my friend? Alright, so that's looking good. And we've got a zero fuel weight there and zero fuel weight centre of gravity here there as well. So I'm just checking the zero fuel weight there. It says 59.1. What have we got listed here? Oh, sorry, that's zero fuel weight, isn't it? Not the zero fuel weight centre of gravity. And our actual takeoff centre of gravity, which is important for the trim setting, is at the moment, according to that, 29.7. So I'll just make a note of that because I'm going to need that to pop that into a calculator in a moment. Yes, we're off to Nice, or we will be soon. Once we've just done some checks. Okay, where's my trim setting? So I'm just going to pop that in there. So CG is 29.7. So that's a trim setting of down 0.03 or 0.3 to be more accurate. Okay, so that all looks good. Now if we just go to the init B page, we can pop some more details in. So the zero fuel weight should be 59.1. And again, I'm just going to go back to check that, see if that's been loaded in as well. So thank you for sticking with me, for checking all this with me, guys. 59.1, fantastic, and you can see that on the Simbrief flight plan. That works out perfectly. Just highlight that for you. Incidentally, when this does become released to the general public, you will need to have a Simbrief aircraft profile that matches the A320 fly-by-wire version, and that will be made available, I'm sure, and I'll put it available on the YouTube channel video descriptions. Okay, so that all matches up nicely. Let's go back to our init B page and carry on. So the zero fuel weight is, what did I just say, 59.1. And the zero fuel weight centre of gravity was 30. Remember, that's not our takeoff centre of gravity. We can then do a fuel planning and check that. So it's got an estimate block fuel of 5.3. We're actually taking well, call it 6.0 because the APU's been burning some whilst we've been chatting. And we've got a trip wind, slight tailwind of 17 knots. So enter that in there so we can see what's happening. 8 AM. How's that mean you're getting ready for work, Mark? Ladmaster, is this the secret version then, or the current developer? It's not a secret version, but it is a pre-release version, so it's upcoming before being made part of the general master developer release. Predicted fuel, estimated fuel on board at arrival is 2.4. Now there is a little discrepancy with the fuel burn yet, so you'll probably see the estimated fuel being more than 2.4 once we land, so don't need to worry too much about that. Finally, just check the performance page. So we'll do a flaps 1 takeoff. We're going to do a toga takeoff just because that's not something we're really testing today. And with that, let's get some V speeds. Good morning from Australia. Glad to catch a live stream. Of course, yeah, normally when I'm streaming, it's overnight for you guys, isn't it? So, swapped it the other way around for this test flight. Alright, all that looks good. Everything is matching up, and in terms of the actual Simbrief integration, that looks to be working well. Now all we've got to do is actually fly the route and make sure it all works. So, what I do need to do is get the weather. Oh, wrong button. Let's get the weather from Flight Sim, the METAR. Okay, oh, it's raining lightly in Nice, so different approach. Visibility is okay though, so that's alright. QNH is 1008 for departure, so we'll set that. And we'll turn the flight directors on. Turn the constraints on as well, set that back to arc mode. Anthony, so the total weight, let's just have a quick look. We've got a gross weight there of 65.1 tonnes. So that's good. And I'm just checking the... See, there's a bit of discrepancy there, because the Simbrief flight plan gives us a takeoff weight of... oh, actually, no, that's not too bad. I've just realised you might not be able to see that because of the flight plan. I'll get rid of that in a minute. The takeoff weight, it's telling us there, 65010, and we're currently 65100. So obviously we're going to burn a bit of fuel as we get to the runway. So that's pretty good, isn't it? That's really good. Matthew, remember the standard weight is between 70 and 80 kg per passenger. That's also, remember, you've got to include their baggage. It takes into account the baggage in Simbrief, so it's not just that. Not only that, it's also what Microsoft Flight Simulator works out as being one passenger. Just answer that question again. This is not the developer build. This is a QA build. It's not yet available. So we're currently in the testing phase of that, and I'm privileged to be part of that team testing it. So Anthony, wondering for flaps 2. Do you want us to do a flaps 2 takeoff? That'd be different. That'd be different. Not something I've ever done at Heathrow before. Incidentally, if we do select flaps 2 for the takeoff, let's just check this. If we did do flaps 2, do our V-speeds change? Of course they should. The door is glitched again. I can actually fix that. The way to fix that is if we request the jetway disconnection. That'll sort that. Yeah, so if I did do flaps 2, do the V-speeds all change? Oh, hang on. Pop that in here. So if we did the flaps 2, yeah, look, the V-speeds do get lower, and there's a disagreement there. Clear that. So that does work. I'm going to stick with flaps 1 though, just because we can. All right, so that works quite nicely. All right, so let's start moving then, shall we? Let's get some bleed air, get the packs in. Warm the passengers up. Okay, so before start checklist, cockpit preparation checklist is complete, signs are on or auto, the ideas are aligned, fuel quantity set and balanced, which we can double check down here on the eCam. There we go. And flight management guidance system, that's all been set. Altimeters are already set and cross-checked. Doors, make sure they're on, windows, make sure they're all closed. Correct. Beacon light, we just pop that on. Mobile phone should be turned off. Parking brake is on. Okay, let's get the cockpit door locked. My passengers in self-loading cargo are very annoyed because we're late for departure, but who cares? Seem to have a sticky thrust lever at the minute. There we go, leave that there. Okay, so let's get the engine fired up.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the cockpit, this is your captain speaking, and I'd like to welcome you on board the aircraft. We're running slightly behind schedule, but we should be able to make up the time once we get up in the air. The guys on the ground are loading the final bits of luggage into the aircraft, so I expect us to be on our way very shortly. If you could help the cabin crew by getting yourself sat comfortably with seatbelts fastened, we should be ready to depart in just a few minutes. For now, though, I'd like to thank you for choosing to fly with us today, and I hope you enjoyed the flight. Thank you.
Yeah, so engine 1's firing up. Ronald, last flight had a harsh landing. Where was that? Remind me. I didn't think it was that bad. What I do tend to do is lose a bit of rudder on the as we touch down. So yeah, self-loading cargo, still loading without a jetway present. It's the magical world of Flight Simulator. Right, does Simbrief work with self-loading cargo? It's crashed when I tried to connect. I don't have an issue. Simbrief and self-loading cargo are completely different programs, so they're not really integrated at all. So I shouldn't see why there's an issue there. 2-hour flight. Yeah, what's our trip time actually? It's not quite as long as that. 1 hour 30 is the total trip time. Right, I'm going to get rid of the flight plan. Where are we and where are we going? Drag, we're at London Heathrow. We're going to taxi out just over here to runway 9 on the left, and then we're landing in Nice for this test flight. Matthew, there really ought to be a failure mode in the dev mode that simulates coffee spillage on the centre console. No. That did happen in real life not that long ago. I think it was an A330 that was somewhere over the Atlantic at the time. Okay, so engine 2 starting as well. Anthony, thank you very much. I do great landings. I consider any decent landing in Flight Sim 2020 to be a good landing. Now, Ronald, I'll forgive you. I will forgive you. You are right, though. The last landing we didn't nail the centre line, and perhaps then trying to kick the rudder in to get us back on the centre line caused a bit of an issue. Why does the cruise speed get lower the higher you go? Nick, you've got to remember that when you get above a certain altitude, you're working in max speed, which is obviously the speed relative to the speed of sound. The higher up you go, the speed of sound is slower. The lower down you come, the speed of sound is faster. So ground speed will appear really, really quick the higher up you go, but in reality you need to be looking at your indicated airspeed, or rather your max speed, when you get up there.
On behalf of the crew, I ask that you please direct your attention to the monitors as we review the emergency procedures.
Okay, let's
There are 6 emergency exits on the aircraft. Take a minute
let's
to
go.
locate the one closest to you and note that it may be behind you. Count the number of rows to the exit. Should the cabin exit,
I am using reverse thrust still for pushback, so highly unrealistic this part of the flight. I'm also just going to turn off the first officer's displays. Saves on frame rates, particularly at somewhere like London Heathrow.
Procedures on the card in the pocket in front of you. Thank you for your attention, and we hope you enjoy the flight.
Okay, let's just do some after start checks. So engine mode selector to norm, anti-ice won't need that, ECAM status is checked. Pitch trim, we will set that to, I think it was down 0.3, and we'll do a flight control check as well. There we go. So full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, and full rudder movement as well. So after start checklist is complete. We can turn off the APU bleed now. Taxi lights on. let's get to the runway. I purposefully picked this departure gate because it makes it not a very long taxi. Nick, no, that's correct. It can't go faster than the speed of sound. If it does, it would probably start to break up. Unless it's Concorde, of course. Probably the greatest airline to ever fly, but you can argue that in the chat room. Henry, hi everyone, thank you for joining us. Look sharp on Twitch. I like the reverse for pushback. It's just because you have to go... in order to get pushback from Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I don't actually mind doing, but in order to do it, you have to actually get ATC clearance from them. That's the only reason I don't do it, because I can't be doing with ATC on Flight Sim. Not the default one anyway. Like, a good thing you're not flying from Manchester. I was stopped by a random house on the taxiway the other day. Oh, yes, there is. However, I do have a review of the new Manchester scenery coming up, so watch out for that video. Hit the subscribe button to be alerted for when that's out. And as Manchester's an airport we fly a lot from, as EasyJet, it's a scenery I'm going to be utilising a hell of a lot. I love the graphics of this simulator. Diego and Chris, hello, thanks for joining us. So in case you're wondering, at the moment the time in the simulator is early morning at London Heathrow. Obviously the aircraft displays Zulu time, which is... oh, actually no, it doesn't. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, fair enough. So Zulu time is actually 0048, but we're flying at 0817 in the simulator. So that means I'm going to have to do some maths a little bit when I need to work some things out, but never mind. Okay, so let's get ready for takeoff. TCAS TARA on, transponder is on, and turn the weather radar to on. Wind shear is on. Let's pop the lights on. Both packs off for takeoff. And let's go.
Cabin crew seats for takeoff, please.
Pratham, thank you very, very much. Fly to India. We'd have to do that on a Friday when I do long haul Fridays. Just because EasyJet don't fly to India. And on a Friday I step out of the EasyJet cockpit just so we can explore the world a little bit more. Dubai, yeah, that is on my hit list. I will get to Dubai at some point. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. Okay, flaps 1 and ground spoilers armed. Auto brake. Ding the cabin. Check the TO config. All green, no blue. That looks good. What on earth is that departure route? That's interesting. That's Flight Sim, that's not Simbrief. So, the flight director could look interesting on departure, but there you go. Do you always turn off the packs for takeoff? That's an EasyJet standard operation procedure, so other airlines may do different things. But essentially, yes. Just gives the engines a bit more power on takeoff. Okay, so we're Mantoga, SRS, runway. .100 knots, stick back to neutral.
100 knots, okay.
V1 and rotate.
Positive red.
Bravo, Whiskey 8156, you were not cleared to take
Oh, there's that ATC that we don't like. I'll turn that off in a second. Let me just concentrate on this departure. There we go. So it is having us fly a strange pattern out of Heathrow, but never mind. Climb thrust set. lowering the nose for that. So now we can target our acceleration speed. And flaps up. As the flaps go up, we can disarm the spoilers. Oh, we're flying left and right, aren't we? But I'm still in manual mode, remember. The autopilot is not yet on. The autopilot is just controlling the airspeed, nothing else. Okay, so with that, let's engage autopilot. So autopilot is now engaged, autopilot 1. I'm going to come out of managed mode and set a vertical climb speed of 2,500 feet. I'm also going to get us all the way up to our cruising altitude actually, because we don't need to pay any attention to any air traffic control or anything. We're not on VATSIM, so we can just get straight up there. Once we pass 10,000 feet we can enter manage mode for the climb, as it tends to work a little bit better. Kevin, is this different from the current mod? Yes it is. This is a pre-release version that we're just testing out at the moment. But the Simbrief integration seems to be working beautifully. Okay, so you can see these constraints on here. We need to be above 4,000, above 5,000, above 6,000. That's going to be absolutely fine with the climb rate that I've set. Set standard pressure as well. Try pushback helper. Yeah, I know lots of people have been telling me to get that, and I do need to get it. I'm just don't want to overload the PC with too many mods at the moment. When will it be released? I couldn't tell you, and that's not because it's part of an official Secrets Act. It's just I don't know. That's not my call. I just part of the tester team, making sure they all fly as they should. Joe Bovans, hello from Holland. Another night owl. Thank you for your support of the channel, Kevin. Much appreciated. Simbrief, where can I find it? That's pretty straightforward. There you go. There's a link in the chat for you. Richard, no, I'm not a real EasyJet pilot. I failed my Class 1 medical several years back, and thankfully I've got good friends that are real world EasyJet pilots, and so they kind of taught me everything I know, along with a lot of home study as well in the A320 over several years. Hello from Portugal. Did I get the FMS from Simbrief? Do you mean the operational flight plan? Yep, that came from Simbrief. If anyone wants to check that, I'll pop another link in there for you. There you go. So that's the flight plan that we've been flying. I'll say we've got 10,000 feet. Put the packs back on. They should have been done sooner actually. So there's the lights off. Yeah, the packs should have gone on when setting climb thrust. If you don't pressurise the cabin. In fact, I wonder if that's been shown. Let's have a look. Ooh. Have we got cabin pressure shown on here at all? Cabin altitude is climbing. That's probably not simulated yet, but never mind. What kind of joystick am I using? It's just a Logitech, not expensive at all. Let me just see if I can find that or link to it for you. Now we're above 10,000 feet as well, I can enter manage mode for that climb, and it'll do that quite nicely. Just trying to find this link for the side stick that I use. Oh, there it is. So there's a link for the side stick. Now there is this problem here. Can you see this constraint? There's a constraint here of 26,000 feet, so the aircraft will not climb above that. That constraint is actually part of the start arrival at Nice that we will get. So what we need to do is go in and not delete it, but pick a waypoint sort of midway between your midway from the flight. This one will do. Pop this constraint in here, pop your cruise altitude in there, 35,000 feet. Pop that in there, and now, has that changed? Yeah, there we go, we've got a constraint there, so shouldn't need to worry about that anymore. Still does seem to be climbing quite rapidly though, 3,000 feet per minute. Not great for passenger comfort. The only way to get around that is to not enter your star while on the ground at your departure airport, but realistically you need to enter that, so your fuel planning works. Told you, how are you downloading this dev version? Because I don't see it in the options that we do. That's because it's not yet, I'm afraid. This is not the developer version or the stable version. This is a pre-release version. So I'm lucky enough to be part of the tester team for it now, which means I get access to these new features as they're working on them, basically to test them out and report any bugs that we've got. But so far, I don't seem to have found any with this. I've been playing around with it a little bit today, and it's working really well. So I can go back to the team afterwards, write it up and say, can't really find anything. There were a couple of bugs when it was first tried out. We had minus fuel figures in the fuel tanks, but aside from that, that was fixed very, very quickly. ODogTube, hello, thanks for joining us. Tell you what then, let's send the trolley dollies round, shall we?
We are about to serve a selection of alcoholic drinks. Please make sure your tray table is in the down position and clear any items from the aisle. Thank you.
I'll pop the chat window in there as well, just for those of you that happen to be streaming it on the big screen or anything like that. If that gets in the way, just say that you don't like it and we'll get rid of it. I do love the Bogner intersection, always makes me smile. Why? What's so great for you about the Bogner intersection? Flying from Chicago to Sweden. Wow, that's a good flight. ODogTubes, first time here, thank you very much. Hope you enjoy it and decide to subscribe by the end of it. Ronald, if the weather conditions were very cloudy, you would probably want to go directly to climb to an altitude above the clouds, am I right? No, not necessarily. You're bound by air traffic control, airspace restrictions. Clouds really aren't a problem. Unless you're flying VFR, of course, in which case you do not go into clouds. But for IFR, you can fly in clouds all day long, unless they are, of course, thunderstorm clouds. Max goes and hello, thanks for joining us. Joe, sometimes my ILS doesn't work. Any ideas? All I could do with that, really, is... let me just see if I can grab you a tutorial, and I would say try and replicate it. See what happens when you try and replicate it. Do you have the same issues, or does it all work? Does it all work well? Let's see if I can find one for you. Oh, do. Where will you be? Where will you be? Oh, there we go. Found it. So if anyone wants to practice an ILS approach, have a look at that video, and that should hopefully get you flying quite nicely. So where are we? I'm on multiplayer right now. Might I see? I'm not actually on multiplayer. I just turned off all traffic, all VATSIM and everything just for this test flight. Just because we don't want any outside influences to affect the test of the aircraft. Will this take an hour to get there? Flight time's 1 hour 33 minutes, but we may cut some waypoints down just to get in a little bit quicker. It is 1 a.m. in the morning my time. Bed is calling. This is the most comfortable economy class I've ever been in. Cathay for economy and Qatar for business. Fair enough. Can't say as I've flown either of those two airlines. Nick, well that sums me up. So people watching either want to be pilot but couldn't due to various circumstances. Unfortunately, that is myself. How to get the onboard sounds? They are from self-loading cargo. So quick Google, check that out. And it's not expensive either. Very, very easy to use. So, well, definitely worth having. David, yours is a pretty potato. David, make sure you've got the latest developer version of the fly-by-wire mod. Quick link to getting that. So here's a link to making sure you've got the latest developer version. Have a look at that. How would I know when it's top of descent? I will have to work that out shortly. Oh, thank you very much, Bethan, for subscribing. That's wonderful. Yeah, big thank you to all the supporters of the channel. Super chats are also enabled as well, just to support the channel. And yeah, can't believe the popularity of it. So it's down to you guys. Thank you very much, and I enjoy doing it. So yeah, we'll have to calculate top of descent in a moment because that's not yet a feature. When planning on Simbrief, is the default A320 good enough for the A320NX, or is there a custom one floating around? Right, I'll tell you what. Give me a second. And because all of you here are watching this test flight, I'm going to send it to you. So what you need to do is, if you have Simbrief, just that big long line of letters and numbers, click that link and that will install in your Simbrief fleet of aircraft the A320NX profile, which makes all the weights and everything correct. You can have that for free. David, you do have the latest dev version and the autopilot just goes crazy. Might need to be a little bit more specific on that. Make sure your dead zones are set though, that's important as well. Gotta have your dead zones set. Are we at cruise altitude yet? Oh, nearly. Nearly at the cruise altitude. It's flying in circles and then crashes. Yeah, try the dead zones. Make sure you've got the dead zones at about 20%. Don't know why it affects it, but it does. No problem, Jack. glad to be of help. Okay, so that's our cruise altitude. We've still got all the passengers in their seats. How very cruel of me. Let's turn the seatbelt sign off.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign so you are free to move about the cabin. However, please note that we do recommend you fasten your seatbelts at all times when you are seated in case of turbulence. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the cockpit, just to let you know, we've now reached our cruise and flight level. We were slightly delayed in taking off, so we are running a little bit behind schedule, but we'll do our best to catch up and see if we can get you to your destination on time as planned. As the cabin crew make their way around the aircraft, please make sure the aisles are clear of any items, and I invite you to please sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. Thank you.
Okay, and one of the other things they seem to have fixed is there's none of that pesky wing wobble. I don't have it that much. Cruise altitude today is 350, I think. Yes, 350. So that's good. A little bit of a crosswind there, but you're not really going to feel that. 48, 49 knots is nothing. That voice of the captain and crew, is it in Simbrief? No, Simbrief is just a flight planning application. It's web-based, so there's no download or anything like that. You just put in the various details you need. I'll tell you what, of course, I have a Simbrief tutorial somewhere. There we go. So anyone that is brand new to Simbrief, check this out, and that'll get you working on Simbrief. Sure, what is fly-by-wire? Fly-by-wire, not flight-by-wire. Fly-by-wire is a group of developers who have taken the default Airbus 320 from Microsoft Flight Simulator and are turning it into a much more realistic, they want to turn it into a full study level aircraft, and at the rate they're going to achieve their goal. So Matthew, I used to be a VATSIM HCO. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I really would love to do it. When I was a teenager, I wanted to be a air traffic controller. I really wanted to do it. But unfortunately, at that time, the medical for pilots and air traffic controllers was the same. So I failed them both. Ronald, when do you increase altitude climbing bank? Do you call 7 right at... oh, Ronald, I'm confused. What are you asking? I'm not confused what you're after there. What you're asking there, my friend. Do-do-do. Okay, so do you remember me saying right at the start that the predicted fuel would probably increase in our journey? So estimated fuel on board, just make a note of that, is 2.2 tons. That's when we arrive at Nice. So we'll just wait and see if that's accurate the time we get there. Oh, Matthew, that does sound like a lot of fun. Bourne, you missed the smell of the aeroplane. I can understand that. There's just something captivating about it, isn't there? Alright, so we're now in a nice cruise stage for a little bit. What I haven't done, just because I'm not on VATSIM, is pulled up my Navigraph charts for this flight, so I have no idea what the approach looks like, what the platform altitude is for the ILS capture. So let me just grab those. So what was our star? The Nizar 6 Sierra star is what we need. Where are you? Oh, there we go. Okay, so at Nizar we need to be below 340. Dottig we need to be above 20,000 feet, and Vedic we need to be at between 20,000 and 24,000 feet. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is I just need to do a quick top of descent calculation. Aviator Dan, yes, this is a late one. Thought we'd do something a bit different. I'm going to just nip outside as well, just so you can see that lovely livery. Someone did ask actually why am I not in the EasyJet livery, and that's just because I'm doing this test flight for fly-by-wire, and it would be rude not to show off their lovely livery, wouldn't it? So there it is. Right, so I'm just doing a quick top of descent calculation. So we're at 350. I want to be at 120 by Tipic. So we need to lose 23,000 feet, which means we need to start our descent probably about 80 miles away from Tipic. So that's fair enough. And we'll just double check, of course, that we've got that waypoint in the navigation computer, which we should have. All working very well. There it is, look. Oh look, it's even got the constraint in there. So at Tipic we need to be at flight level 120. And it also gives you the distances between each waypoint as well, which I'm just comparing that with the chart, is absolutely spot on. Fantastic. Right, after Tipic, just need to check now the approach for, we're going to do 4 left, aren't we? Is that right? Yes, 04 left. I've actually selected the wrong star. No, I haven't. I've selected the right star. I've selected the wrong veer. So can we go and change that without messing everything up? Let's have a look. So we want to arrive 04 left, and it is the Nizar 6 Sierra. However, I want to change the veer. We want to go via Tipic and not Amgel. So if we insert that, will that have just messed our entire flight plan up? Let's go and check, shall we? Sometimes doing stuff like that can cause a headache. There's Tipic. Oh no, it's done it perfectly. Ho ho, I love it when it works. Excellent. Right, let me just come back to the chat a minute. So, Ronald, anytime you make a decision in climbing altitude or descending or banking, do you have to ask the approach tower, or are you up there by yourself? If you're VFR, you're pretty much up there on your own. If you're IFR, however, you'll be following a strict flight plan, so you're not turning left and right, really, without the air traffic controller already knowing what you're doing. And, of course, air traffic controller in charge, ultimately, of what you're going to be doing. So you don't climb without them telling you to, you don't descend without them telling you to, and if they say, continuous file, then you're following the flight plan that you've got pre-programmed in, as we've got here. For those of you wanting to get into VATSIM and are unsure, take a look at this. This will get you logged in with FlightSim 2020 or FSX, and get you talking to a controller for the first time. So I'll pop a link to that. There you go. Always make sure if you're flying on VATSIM you've got pen and paper with you. Very, very important. I've been on VATSIM for ages, done hundreds of hours of flights, but I still have a pen and paper with me. Nick, thanks for stopping by, my friend. Good evening, good night. Magic Gnome, could you show me the exact calculation you made to calculate when to start the descent? Yes, I can. Bear with me 1 second. Where's that gone? Okay, so there's a quick video there on showing you how to work out the top of descent calculation. It goes into a bit more detail, but essentially I know that I need to be at a certain height by a certain waypoint. I needed to lose, I forgot how many thousands of feet it were, but basically it's how many thousands of feet you need to lose. Divide that by 1,000, times it by 3. That gives you how many miles away from that waypoint you need to start your descent, and then you normally add 10 miles to that just for time to slow the aircraft down. But that video goes on it in a little bit more detail. Howling Crazy, good morning, unusual this time. How's the testing going? So far, very, very well. I haven't had a single issue with it. Ryan, I found that Microsoft Flight Sim likes to force you to fly a particular VIA even if you select a different one or not at all. If you select a different one, I've always found it works. However, you are correct when you say that when you select none at all, it'll still take you on one, which is very, very annoying. But at least if you know how to vector yourself in, you're fine. Mark, I think that's true as well. If you try and select your star when you've already passed the initial approach fix, then it does kind of take you on a bit of a spaghetti route, and you're whizzing around all the way back to the start of the star. Girl must sleep. Bye bye. Fair enough. Thanks for stopping by. Jack, I think I'm slowly building up a video for everything. A video says 1,000 words, doesn't it? And obviously you can watch it in your own time, your own comfort, and jot things down, etc. Hit rewind, which is very important. Pen and paper are key. Descend at what rate? Oh, that is a very good point. That's explained more in the video. So we'll descend at a rate of anywhere between 1,600 to 1,800 feet per minute. That depends on what the winds are doing. And a descent speed of about 270 knots. Should the plane descend automatically at top of descent when in managed altitude? So in managed mode, no, it doesn't. No, you still need to change the altitude that you want here on the autopilot unit. So you still need to do that. All the autopilot does when in managed mode is it increases or decreases your rate of descent to keep it on the optimum platform, to make sure it hits all the constraints and things like that it needs to do. Howling Crazy tried the VATSIM comms at Gatwick. Oh wow, you've picked probably the busiest airport in UK airspace on VATSIM. Heathrow is an exception, of course, but VATSIM Gatwick always seems to be staffed. No problem, Ronald. How are my passengers doing? Self-loading cargo says 87% satisfied. Oh, you can't please everyone, can you? Braun, I find it much easier to listen to than speak. Do you know, I can still remember the first time I contacted anyone on VATSIM, and you're right, it is nerve-wracking. I remember my mouth was going dry before I got there. I thought it was ridiculous. He's just another human being sat doing... enjoying his hobby, and I know a lot of them are actually real world, aren't they? They are real world air traffic controllers as well. They're very, very professional, and it's just great to have them. Once you've started flying on VATSIM, I guarantee you will not go back. It adds a sense of realism like no other. So Capone, you're an Avio user. Is there a reason you're using VATSIM? I think, well, is Avio the one that is subscription based? I'm not 100% sure. But obviously VATSIM's free, and it just seems to be very well staffed, particularly over Europe, which is where I do most of my flying. So that's good. Ryan, oh, you don't want to find that out, do you? Until I can perform holds in Microsoft Flight Sim's A320, I will not be taking part in any VATSIM events. I don't want to be flying a manual hold. That sounds like far too much work. And even for real world pilots of the A320, tell them they've got to do a manual hold and watch them go grey. Helen Crazy, love loading into Gatwick with the scenery mod. Oh yeah, I did a quick review on that the other day, and I don't normally do reviews, but Gatwick is something a little bit special, isn't it? And it's a good EasyJet base, so I thought, why not? Is it Pilot Edge which you pay for? Ah, fair enough, and that's the west coast of the USA. I knew there was one of them. Couldn't remember which. Yeah, fair play. Entering the hold is a different kettle of fish. At least the chrono works. The chrono didn't work on the default one. At least that works now. And the one up here, that works as well. Both of which I failed to start when I took off on this flight. Naughty me. Yeah, I know they're simple, I know they're easy to do, but I think you've got to compare that. If you're in the real world, you've got a lot of other things going on, you're running through various approach briefings, checklists, blah blah blah, and suddenly you've got to sit there and sort out your turns and your courses, flying them for a minute each leg. When in real life, of course, the A320, you just plug all the information into the MCDU and it does it for you. Capone, I actually feel the other way around. I feel that we get a lot more VATSIM in Europe. Having said that, I think from what I've seen of VATSIM seems to be pretty much well covered everywhere. Even when I've done some of the long distance Friday flights over in America, I've been over there and it's been like the middle of the night their time, and it's still covered. So that's great. Yeah, Ryan, I'd agreed with that. If you're holding for 15 minutes and you're doing it manually, ugh. Nobody wants to do that. So is anybody else watching in a time zone later than 1:26 AM? That's where I am currently at. I was just excited to test this new release. Got the wife and kids in bed, thought, I know what. Genuine question. Is it pronounced MCDU, MCDU or MCDU? I've had some great comments on this. Pilots I've spoken to just say MCDU. It's easier. Of course, remember the MCDU is the whole computer. It is not, which does a lot of stuff. So you can talk to ATC on it. You can send positional reports back to base and things like that. So it is the whole computer. MCDU is not specifically just the flight plan part of it. It is the whole thing. 226 at NGM still going strong. Excellent. 227, 226, same time. Martin watching from Australia. So what's that? Midday-ish your time? Aviator 7 AM. Wonderful. Start to go. When's this update going live? I'm afraid I have no idea. That's not my decision. I'm just a test pilot. But it's looking good. It's looking. I've not had any issues. Matthew, I moved back to the UK from Australia in April. Big mistake. Yeah, you won't be able to get back in, will you? How's that work? Montreal, 8:25. We flew into Montreal on Friday as part of Long Distance Friday. Check that out if you missed it. 8:27 PM here outside of Boston. Is that Ryan? So Bjorn, you're having to log off now. Have a nice evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. So let's just see whereabouts we are. Okay, so we're probably about, in fact I'll tell you, well, we've got 376 miles to go. Top of descent looks to be in about 240 miles-ish, something like that. Which sounds a long way, but it's not really. Oh no, Matthew, the visa expired. Oh. Unlucky timing. Oh, Magic Gnome, you watched it. Excellent. I have no idea what it looks like in real life, so I'm presuming it was accurately represented. Tranquil, a little late to the stream, but what about it? Does the Simbrief get integrated? Yeah, basically the Simbrief integration comes through the MCDU part of the FMC, and if anyone wants to have a quick look at how that works, one sec. Here's a video that I uploaded earlier tonight that you can go and check out. $8 seconds a mile. Yeah, not long at all. I didn't want to do a ridiculously short flight because I actually wanted one with lots of waypoints and airways in it. Otherwise, you're not really testing anything. Will we ever have contrails? As daft as it sounds, I'm not a coder, so I don't know how difficult it is. But I didn't think that contrails would have been that big a thing to have to try and integrate. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm IT illiterate, so yeah, no, I don't know how that works. Just presumed that it would have been an easy fix, but What do I know? I think they've got other things on their mind, haven't they, at the minute, really? A few other bugs that they need to try and squish before contrails get there. Yeah, howling crazy. I think that's it exactly. It will make flying time more productive. Before, I used to get the Simbrief flight plan sorted on either the tablet or something like that, then have to download it on the flight sim computer. You've then got to import it into the flight planning screen, etc, 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 do all that. Whereas for this, all I did was literally, I thought, I know I'm departing from London Heathrow, I loaded in at a gate, no route, no nothing, no fuel planning, no centre of gravity, none of that rubbish. Literally just loaded in at the gate and clicked the few buttons, ding ding ding, and everything was there. So you're quite right, it's just a major time saver. Ryan, I would think they were treated roughly the same as clouds by the engine. Again, I don't know. I don't know how it works or how it doesn't work. Obviously at the moment it doesn't work. But yeah. We had contrails in FS 2004. I know, that's the argument, isn't it? If they can do it then, why can't they do it now? There is something satisfying about adding manually adding waypoints. I agree with that. There is. But, I mean, even for this one, really, because what you can do now, of course, is you can enter just the airways. Enter the airways and the waypoints are populated automatically. Again, thank you fly-by-wire for that. But if you are doing sort of a 6-hour flight, something like that, Simbrief's got to be a lot easier. Just and it's quite realistic. A lot of flight plans now, they get done by sent by data link. So yeah, it's not unrealistic. Poseidon, will it remember the username? Do you mean for Simbrief? Because incidentally, it didn't just here at the time that I popped it in for this flight, because I've been doing it some testing previously. Then came in to start this flight tonight, and the username had disappeared, so it hadn't this time. But then a couple of other times it had. So not sure about that. I think it remembers it if you restart the simulator. If you go back to the main screen and load a new and load the aircraft again. But the moment you quit the simulator, from what I can tell, the username is lost. So that's something that perhaps needs a little bit more checking. Do I think Flight Sim 2020 will kill X-Plane, pre-3D, etc. when they get it all together? A lot of them are saying that MS 2020 is a scenery sim. Yes, I think MS 2020 is future-proof, isn't it? That's the way you've got to look at it. If we still have FS 2020 in 6-7 years' time, and nothing else has come out, I don't think there's going to be anything close to touching it by then. But it's just personal opinion, isn't it? That's my opinion. Ryan, that's true. You can use an actual route, can't you? I mean, Simbrief's wonderful. It's got to be the greatest free flight planning tool available. So Ronald, the 737 MAX back in service. I think it has been cleared to be enter back into service now. If so, what modifications do they do as far as the instruments? I don't think it was so much the instruments. I think it was the actual onboard computer. I don't know too much about it. just because it's Boeing. But I think it just had it was basically a computer software program, wasn't it? There's probably someone on here that knows more than I do about that. I'm looking forward to the A380. Yeah, that'll be fun. That will be fun. We'll have to do some flights on that when that comes out. But I do think that's going to be a while. So Ryan says, I believe it was a software fix and simulator time for the pilots. Yeah, it was there was definitely something to do with the software that sadly wasn't working right. There starts the old argument, doesn't it? Which do you trust, pilots or computers? I'd like to think the answer is both, but there you are. Oh, Magic Gnome, right, I get you. If we input my username, would it load the same route you're using? Do you know what? I can't see why not, and I mentioned that in the video, the pre-release video I did tonight. So if we all, for example, wanted to do a community flight here on the EasyJet Sim Pilot channel, what we could do is I could set up a operational flight plan, and then once this is released, you guys could also hop into the A320 alongside me at whatever airport we decide to fly from, plug in my Simbrief username, EasyJet Sim Pilot, and with that you'd have the same flight plan as me, so we'd literally be flying the same route. Unfortunately, we'd also be flying the same altitude, so you might need to alter that. But yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't do that. So that'd be quite good. Martin, the Boeing only had one angle of attack sensor. Did it? Did not know that. Do I have any Neo manuals? I've had no luck on the internet. JD, I believe there's a reason for that. That's probably to do with security post 9/11. Manuals really are restricted to real pilots, and if you're very lucky, friends of real pilots. But I do have a few training manuals and standard operating procedures, yes. Matthew, you last controlled in 2007. Wow, fair enough. Is your user ID still active? Jerry, have I had a look at the Eurofighter Typhoon that came out? It looks good, but I'm not liking the cockpit, i.e. the instrument panels. I've not, no. To be honest, I've never really been bothered about military aircraft. It's always been the commercial side of things for me. I don't know why. It excites me. Everything about it. I just love that whole world. I think it's something to do with the huge logistics of everything that has to go into it. I don't know, but no, I just don't see I don't get the same rush with commercial, with military ops. It's moving hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands and thousands of people per day from an airport, and everything has to run to perfect plan, because one small minor problem can wreck everything. But that's just me. Oh, you've reactivated your VATSIM this week. Excellent. So are you back controlling, or how's that working? If you've been off the scopes that long, surely you'd need to do some sort of retraining, wouldn't you? Or are they not that bothered? JD, you're looking for the centre of gravity and trim numbers. Okay, so centre of gravity numbers can be found on your weights page in Flight Sim 2020. And as for working out the trim calculations, you will need to have a look at where's that gone? One sec. Here we go. So check that out for a tutorial on working out trim settings and things like that. Gives you a little link to a piece of software to download actually, which is quite nice. Yeah, Jerry, that's fine. But, ask away. Got to fill the cruise time up, haven't we? And that's a great way to do it, OFX Gamers. Wine refill. Oh, I think if I had a glass of wine, I wouldn't be awake for the landing. We'd get a fighter pilot escort in as we circle the airfield. JD, yeah, that's right, the web code numbers are for the CAO320, which realistically, for simulated purposes, there's not that much difference between the two. However, you'll not get... you get your sim trim setting from that, but also check that as well, that little link I sent you, because there's an Excel spreadsheet in there as well, which you can use, which is quite neat. Yeah, Matthew, I would imagine quite a lot has changed in the last 13 years. So, how are we doing? Where are we? We're heading towards Utuva. And where does the star begin? The star begins at Nisar. And what did I say? We wanted to start our descent 80 miles from the Tipic waypoint. So we've got a bit to go yet. But the aircraft's handling beautifully. Autopilot is working like a dream. The graphics are fantastic, as we've come to expect. Wish they could work on the weather. Let's try that again. I wish they could work on the weather radar tilt, however. Because obviously, you look at the weather radar there, we've got big red squalls in front of us, which is actually indicating the weather below us. It's I don't actually know what altitude that's set to, because the radar tilt doesn't work. You can set it to weather or weather and turbulence, but it doesn't actually change the navigation display, so there's no issue there. But radar tilt is in op. Doesn't work. Ryan, have you seen the announcement for FS Realistic? Do you know what? I think I saw something, didn't click the link, so what is it? Tell us all, what is that? So Aviator, given Laminar's research partner of releasing a new version of X-Plane every 3 to 4 years, do you think X-Plane 12 will come out by 21-22? And will it be able to beat FS 2020? Oh, there's a question. Key 1 for yes, key 2 for no. I'd like to think... Do you know, I don't know. I really don't know. I think graphics-wise, it's going to be hard to top. And that's probably because X-Plane concentrate a lot more on the flight dynamics. But then if Flight Sim 2020, now the graphics are all there pretty much, aren't they, already? If they now concentrate on the flight dynamics, and they've already got all the trigger points on the aircraft, evaluating, you know, the airflow over the wings, it's all there. Just the same as in X-Plane. It just needs to be utilised a little bit more. I think it's going to be difficult. And of course, if you release a new version of X-Plane, well then customers have to buy new versions of the aircraft, which aren't cheap, usually more expensive than the actual simulator itself. So yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Heard it said that if you could combine Flight Sim 2020's graphics with X-Plane's flight dynamics, you'd have the best simulator available. Easy to sit here and say that though, isn't it? Right, so Ryan, FS Realistic is the FS 2020 version of XP Realistic, which is a head movement plugin to simulate the G-forces such as banking and landing. You get the familiar rumble on landing, according to landing rate. Oh, okay. We did have something like that for FSX as well. I forgot what it was called now. Oh, Orbex was part of the release team for it. No, I forgot what it was called. Sujit likes. Wonderful. Glad you like it. We'd best put some weather details into the computers, haven't we? Right, so let's just get the latest weather for where we're landing. Nice. Where we're landing. It's 1:50 AM here. Give me a break. Just wait for that to come through. There we go, there's our company message. Oh, wrong button. Message is received. Okay, so this is the weather that should actually be depicted when we get there in the sim. Typical, I've lost my pen. Where's that gone? Am I hoping for a nice landing? Oh, well, why would you hope for anything else? Where are we? Right, so what's the weather doing? 020 at 11 knots. Light rain, temperature 11, and QNH 1019. Very good. So we'll pop that into the performance page. Temperature 11, wind 020 at 11, transition altitude for Nice is missing. Where's it gone? 5,000 feet. Oh, 50,000 feet. Try again. And it'll be a Cat 1 approach, so... Where are we? 291 for the minimum descent altitude. There's a neat little thing now as well, don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't input all your approach details in by, I think it's 250 miles? No, might be 150 miles. If you haven't put all the details in, you get a warning on here saying approach data missing. Sujit, mate, don't spam the chat. Shoot for 5 feet per minute. We pay for the whole runway, we use the whole runway. Do see people though saying, you know, they want to get 5p per minute or 7 feet per minute, 70 feet per minute, and a soft landing's not always a good thing. Comfortable is what you want, comfortable landing, but you've got to make solid contact with the ground, otherwise you risk sort of floating down the runway and your brakes aren't working properly. You certainly don't want thrust reverse deploying whilst you're still technically mid-air, so make sure you plant it down on the runway a little, not over firmly, but you want to feel that bump. Is it an appropriate time to use MDA over DH and vice versa? Yes, DH, decision height, is always used if you're doing a fully automated landing. MDA all the other times. That's how it works in the Airbus anyway. Aviation 104, good evening, thank you for joining us. Okay, so we're about 130 miles out from Tippik. Start our descent about 80 miles away from there, so not far to go. How are the passengers doing? Oh, still 87% happy, so they've not changed. You've got to love the clouds, haven't you? So we'll be back to live streaming throughout the day on Thursday, and then of course we've got long haul on Friday, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss those. I've also got a flight planned to Lapland as well coming up, of course. Couldn't not go and visit Santa, could we? Oh, what's happened there? Engines are spooling around a little bit. Jack, last I saw, automatic landings were broken. FS 2020, have they been fixed? No, definitely not. I did a Cat 2 landing into Milan the other day. That's on the channel if you want to check that out. But even with the Cat 2 landing, your decision altitude, your decision height is 100 feet. So still knocked off the autopilot just before touchdown. Otherwise, would have bounced down the runway. Wangui Studios wouldn't ruin the purpose of manually entering it into the McDo. Are you talking about the Simbrief? No, not really. As I was saying earlier, a lot of the flight plans now are sent via data link. So, in that respect, it's still quite realistic. Can't wait till I make a flight to O'Hare. Oh, there's an airport to navigate. Mark, can't wait for Fly-by-Wire to merge their custom Fly-by-Wire system into the A320X. I did want to do a little showcase video of that as well. That's on my to-do list. Bit traumatised trusting the autopilot under 10,000 feet. You just need to be in selected mode, I think. Make sure you're not in managed mode and you're fine. Only for speed though. No, sorry, not for speed. Only for altitude. Everything else is fine. Can leave that in managed mode. That seems to be working rather well. Not far away from the top of our descent now. So what are the autopilot issues you guys are having? So you get to 10,000 feet, what happens? Because hopefully I'm going to get to 10,000 feet on this and nothing out of the ordinary will happen. Guess we'll find out. $120 miles to Tippik. This. So if we go to the flight plan, what you should be able to do is scroll left and right on this page to give you sort of distances, ETAs, and speed restrictions, and the course, the heading that you should be flying between each waypoint. That's not yet implemented, but that's something else that I'm sure will come. So here's the waypoint that we're aiming for, Tippik, to be at flight level 120. So Jack, if your angle of attack on the A320 is quite high even at cruise, if you check this here, we've got a normal 2.5 degree angle of attack there, which is absolutely fine in the pitch. That suggests to me that your aircraft isn't balanced and you've got a lot of weight at the back of the aircraft. So check your centre of gravity, make sure it's within the limits. Try and keep it nice and centre. I need to find the audio file that says 100 above and change it to a panic voice screaming brace, brace, brace. I've had to track it direct to the airfield after the decel point. Have to direct to the next in the MCDU. Ryan, that maybe you've got one of those flight plan discontinuities, also called user points in the flight plan. So if we look here, we've got a decel point. We've no user points, however, in this, which is quite nice. So we don't need to worry about anything. So Wangui Studios, for some reason it doesn't follow the flight plan, going down to approach and manage speeds broke free. Have you got the latest dev version? Make sure you've definitely got the latest dev version, not the stable version. Ironically, the stable version is broken. Yeah, so Jack, always check your weights. So you can see here on the screen that the white and black circle is showing where the centre of gravity is for the aircraft. Yeah, of course you could also be far too high for how heavy your aircraft is. Aviator, please consider flying to Hyderabad in India, Indigo A320neo. It's got freeway scenery too. That would have to be a long distance Friday flight, but potentially something we could look to do. No, Easy doesn't fly there, but long distance Fridays we we step out of the EasyJet cockpit. I haven't decided where we're going to go this Friday either, so it needs to be, the rules are for it, it needs to be a real world route lasting about 6 hours. Flight time, that is. 6 hours flight time. Ronald, want to know how much fuel we've already used? Let's have a look. Where's that displayed? Fuel page. Oh, where's that gone? Is that on the fuel page? Oh, there you go. Fuel use is at the top. So, 2.2 tonne so far. What if our destination had terrible weather, which we had to make a different approach somewhere else? That's not really something I've actually looked into. Your secondary flight plan at the moment doesn't work, but I would imagine you can put an airport in as a waypoint, so you can do it that way. Do you know, I'm not really sure. Not sure how it would work in the simulator, that is. But yeah, normally you just change the destination and carry on as normal. Manchester to London on a Friday evening in regular June includes 4 hours of hyper-realistic holding and a diversion back to Manchester. Do you fly for British Airways, Matthew? Would we still have to stay mid-flight till the weather passed over? That would depend on the area forecast. Alright, so let's start that descent going. Down to 12,000 feet. So we'll set a descent rate of 1,700 feet per minute and slow the speed of the aircraft down. Can we go back to... No, we can't go back to knots just yet. For some reason, the aircraft at the moment, you can't select knot speed above, I think it's flight level 240. Matthew, you try not to. Bush Boys Lincoln, the installation of Flight Sim isn't working for me. So is that purchased through Steam, or is it Flight Sim? Microsoft, the Microsoft store. Gonna go through some cloud. Let's get the de-ice on. Raphael, why don't you descend based on the constraints? Well, you've got to remember that if I just bring up the chart for the constraints, where's it gone? The constraints are basically saying that you need to be below 340 by NISA. You need to be between flight level 200 and flight level 320, so there's 12,000 feet play there. You need to be above 2,000 feet for dotting, so you can't really descend just via the constraints because there's a lot of space between those constraints. But the one that we do have to hit at Tipic, we have to be at flight level 120, so that's the constraint I'm aiming for at the moment. Hope that answers that question. Ian from Oz. Oh, I feel your pain. had the PPL on the way to the CPL. Yeah, I could still get my PPL. I'm not barred from that, but unfortunately can't pass the medical for a commercial license. So I know exactly what you mean. So just before we do this approach, I'm just going to grab a quick drink. Back in a second. And we're back. So because of that little restriction in not being able to set, I'd like to ideally descend at a rate of about 270 knots. But we have to work in max speed until we pass flight level 240. Ryan, if you have a constraint for a particular altitude, say 120, do you plan your descent to target that altitude and therefore begin your descent further from the field? Yes, definitely. So a lot of the ways there are various different ways of calculating your top of descent when the aircraft doesn't do it for you, but a lot of them take you right down to the airport. This, because you're working on the amount of height you need to lose to be at a certain altitude by a certain point, that's the method I use. So yeah, we have to be at 120 at typic, as that is an actual constraint. It's not a be below or above. We have to be at that altitude. So as you can see, we're coming up to 40 miles away from typic. Let me just zoom in so we can see that. So typic is here, and we need to be at the altitude for there. So we're about on profile for that at the minute. What the real A320 would do is, as we had set an altitude here of 12,000 feet, if we put that in managed mode, what the real aircraft would do is would then adjust speed and descent rate accordingly to make sure we absolutely hit 120 at that point. Aviator, you're now an aeronautical engineer. Oh, so you fix the things when things go wrong. Poseidon, we need the banana. I think that may have just made me hungry. Quick snack before bed. Okay, so it is 11 minutes past 2 in the morning and we're still going strong. That's a lie, we're still going. Once again, a big thank you to all the subscribers to the channel, new and old. And for those of you that want to support the stream, super chats are enabled. For those of you that have been asking previously, managed to get that sorted. Always appreciated. Okay, so we now should be able to set a descent speed rather, of 270 knots. So we should just hear the engines fire up a little bit, but not too much. Poseidon, yeah, and what would also be quite nice is, and it will come, is if here we can sort of like enter the distance and get us bearing and things like that in here to the fixed point. That way you can work it out a little better, but we just need to be patient. Also would show you then as well your descent profile, above it, below it, etc. If I did become a VATSIM controller at Birmingham again, that's still an easy hub, yeah. You don't know if it's a hub, but they certainly still fly to it. Unfortunately, a lot of the hubs have shut down recently due to COVID. So where have we got left? I think so EasyJet's obviously got Gatwick, Luton, Manchester, Liverpool, Belfast, Edinburgh, throw some more names at me, but Newcastle's gone, Stansted's gone, Glasgow, I think that might still be active. Working Title have just released a massive update. Working Title, enlighten me. Who are they? I probably have heard of them, but I can't think what it is that they do. What I do need to check, I've not checked just yet, is runway, the RadNav page. Make sure we've got information in there. 10995, 10995. Ooh, can we pop the course in there? 043. Is that now working? No, not yet. Oh well, never mind. What we do need to put in there actually is we'll pop in the VOR. As it's only a ILS approach, it's not an ILS and DB approach. In fact, we need to pop in NC, which is an NDB, so let's just go back to that. 338. There we go. $10 miles from Tipping, and we're at 14,000 feet, so that descent profile works perfectly then, didn't it? Matthew, be careful. Doncaster, Sheffield, Robin Hood Airport is my local airport. Not much flying after there at the moment, though. You are right, though. It's daft. Doncaster Airport would have been fine, or even Finningley. Of course, it was Finningley to begin with. It's nowhere near Sheffield, and Robin Hood is more associated with Nottingham. So, yeah, go on, I'll let you have that. It's a daft name. Alright, let me just check this final approach. After Tipping, so after Tipping we're headed to one of these wonderful waypoints, MN 900. And then Lempu. And at Lempu we need to be at... I'm going to continue our descent now to... Where's it gone? We're going to descend down to 10,000 feet. So we can slow the aircraft down to 250 knots as well. So Lempu is the initial fix, and we need to be at 200 knots maximum for that, and at 4,000 feet. So we'll start that descent, carry on at the same rate. Spoilers out now, as we need to lose a bit of speed so we can do that. If we recall the weather, it did say it was raining in Nice when we got there. Matthew, your brother lives in Doncaster. I grew up in Nottingham and you stand by your snarky behaviour. Well, you are right, it's a daft name. Ladmaster Deer says you're local as well. Never flown from it though. No, neither have I. Neither have I. Do see the Magma Cargo Air 747s fly over quite regularly. Okay, 10,000 feet. Passenger signs on. Landing lights on.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, you may have noticed we've begun our descent into our destination. We're not expecting any further delays or traffic in front of us in the next few minutes, so if you do assist the cabin crew by tidying your trays, handling the back, and putting any lids in the bags provided. For safety reasons, please turn off all electronic devices and switch them to airplane mode once we have landed. Please also note that the aircraft toilets will shortly go out of use. Thank you.
So how far out do you put the landing gear down? I normally put it down about 6 miles. Unless you're too high, of course, in which case you can use the landing gear, get that out, that'll slow you down if you're high and coming in high and fast. But realistically, yeah, about 5-6 miles out. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, we can say that this has been a very successful flight. We're going to enter manage mode for our speed now, and we've just entered the approach phase. I didn't have to do that manually because we're passing the decel point, so it's done that for us. What's going to happen now is we're going to target the green dot speed, which means we may just lose our rate of descent for a moment. You find it more comfortable to fly 737 than the A320. That's fair enough, everyone has their own preferences, don't they? Pratham, yeah, we'll be should be on the ground in about 5 minutes, not much longer. Yeah, so now the aircraft has just halted our descent as it targets the green dot speed. Warm enough outside now that we don't need any of these. Slivy, when will this update release? I have no idea. At the moment it literally got released this morning to the QA testers. So some extensive testing to be done. But it's working quite nicely, or it has been for me this afternoon, this evening. Turn on the landing system. There we go. So we're 25 miles away from NI. Oh, it is an ILS DB. Oh, fair enough. Thought it was just an ILS. Can anyone remember what the altimeter was? 1019. Hit the localizer button. Localizer is alive. And with that, we'll go flaps 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the seatbelt sign. Please fasten your seatbelts as soon as possible. Thank you.
JD, you are correct, of course. Windshield heat is automatic. Not always in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 though, particularly when it was very first released. They may have fixed it now, to be fair to them, but when it was first released, the icing effects were very overdone, and the pitot tubes just froze up mid-air and you lost your airspeed, so it's just better safe than sorry at the moment. But basically, yeah, you shouldn't need your any of your de-ice on unless you're flying through visible moisture and you are between -10 and -40 TAT air temperature. So we're on the localizer now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to land. Please make sure you are seated with your belts fastened and your trays in the upright position. Any items should be safely stored, and remember to turn off all electronic devices until after landing. Thank you.
You're lucky, Matthew, I don't live in Rotherham. I am quite close to the border though. Poseidon, are you one of the QA testers? The poll for the Simbrief integration only came this morning, didn't it? Carson Lou, my top of descent isn't accurate on the fly-by-wire. Do I have any tips? Yes, don't use it. It's not programmed yet, mate. That's why it's not accurate. So we can see the runway in front of us. We're nicely aligned on the localizer. That's good. Glide slope is now alive as well. So one diamond above, we'll go flaps 2. Turn on the approach mode. That will aim to capture the glide slope in a moment. Glide slope blue. Oh, sorry, you're not talking about the A320. Ah, fair enough, Poseidon. I thought you were talking about the A320. I said, did I miss something? Have they been hiding it from me? So hopefully glide slope will go green for captured in a moment. What I will do, I'm going to turn the chat off just so you guys can see everything. There we go, glide slope green. JK, let's butter it. We always do his best. Do you know what, I'm going to turn off that flashing ADF because that's annoying me. 10 miles out.
Cabin crew, seats for landing.
Cabin crew, please take your seat for landing.
So currently at 160 knots, which is fine. Notice yet the gear's not down, doesn't need to be. We're happily stabilised on the approach. That's going to be quite a missed approach procedure. Yeah, it is. I've come off the chart for that, but basically the missed approach procedure is climb to 3,000 feet and turn right. So we need to set that. So 3,000 feet is our missed approach altitude, and turn right quickly. 7 miles out. So if there was an extremely realistic pay-wave version of the A320, would I buy it or continue using fly-by-wire? I'd wait for the reviews, in all honesty. Flaps 3, gear down, spoilers armed. Oh, Sujit, you're going to go miss the best bit. Oh, well, never mind. Thank you for joining us. Flaps full. Matthew, you stop screaming when you come back round and land again and know that you're not going to run out of fuel. Let's have a quick outside view, shall we, before we disengage the autopilot. Beautiful. Dabby Gaming, what do I use to stream? Just OBS. So cabin is secured, auto thrust is on speed, go around altitude is set, ECAM memo all blue, landing no blue, all looks good. Sterile cockpit roll. It would have been a very quiet stream for the last 10 minutes, wouldn't it? Okay, passing 1,000 feet. We can turn the autopilot off now. One of the things to not do when you turn that autopilot off is panic. Everything's pretty set. The aircraft's already trimmed for a descent of about between 600 and 700 feet per minute. Just let it fly. Any corrections you need to make need to be very minor. So you can see we're just coming slightly above that glide slope, so a slight change in the descent rate, and that'll bring us back in line. Just a little to the left as well, but we can correct that.
Minimum.
There's our minimum call outs. Reverse thrust. Manual brake. reverse thrust off. And there we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nice. The local time is 12:01. Unfortunately, the temperature is currently a very cold 0 degrees Celsius.
Self-loading cargo never gets that temperature right.
You might want to put it
Poseidon, why turn the autopilot off so early? Standard operating procedure, 1,000 feet, unless you're doing an auto land.
You are reminded to keep all electronic devices switched off until you have entered the airport terminal. Thank you for flying with Fly-by-Wire.
Welcome to Nice. Okay guys, I think we can call that a very successful test. All the weights and everything matched up at the start of the flight. Obviously the waypoints all worked perfectly. I've turned the tax lights off there, didn't mean to do that. Meant to turn the APU on. So yeah, I think that's a great test. Congratulations to all the developers that have worked on that, and hopefully it won't be too long before that's released to the public, because I know it's a feature that so many people want to do that, want to have that. So let me quickly go to the chat before we call it a night. How do we display the information at the top? That is from Fly Live Studio. It's not part of the simulator. You guys can only see that in the sim. You don't get it in the flight simulator. What exactly about Fly-by-Wire makes the Microsoft Flight Simulator experience better? Basically, the A320 now is much more realistic. All of the switches work, basically, and a lot of other things as well. The flight computer is greatly enhanced. Verdina fake? Yeah, of course it is. It's not. We're not really in Nice. Aviator imperial or metric, depends where you are in the world, I guess. But kilograms all the way if we're in Europe. Jack, great stream. Thank you for the evening or morning. Yeah, oh my word, it is late. So yeah, the mod is looking very good. What, we're in Nice? I got on the wrong flight. Okay guys, thank you very much. Hope you all enjoyed that. Please do consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much to the supporters of the channel, and yeah, we'll have a next live stream maybe tomorrow night, but definitely Thursday. And then we've got Long Haul Friday on Friday, obviously. Not decided where we're going yet, so leave any comments below if you have any questions. I'll come back and answer those. Not tonight, though. That will be tomorrow. Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you all again soon. Good night.